What's going on, everybody? We're back with day 3 with hanging out with my buddy Harmon Smith. Um, Clearly I'm on my phone. I'm gonna keep this shit going. And speaking of Mr. Smith, I heard something today that he might not be too happy about. Uh, it's something I've been wanting for a very long time. A handheld Xbox thing, right? I've been wanting that since the PSP. I've all. Oh my god, I'm so mad I don't have it. Oh, shit, I need to put my headphones in. Yeah, no. But I'm happy. It's rumored now. It leaked, but rumored it might be coming out sometime this year, which would be really cool. But I doubt it personally. But point is, he's not gonna like that. He was lost his shit when the fucking Steam Deck came out. And if this is gonna be any kind of good, then he's gonna lose his fucking mind. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do my research on that before he makes a video on it, so I can be actually somewhat knowledgeable on the topic, so I can have a bit more of a direct, fair, thing going on here. I mean, not saying that he does any research either, but so I can be more educated because it thing just came out. I don't know any specs about it. I can only like use my common sense and speculate. But that's gonna be for another day. For now, we have a good 4 videos we're gonna pick apart. Because I realized kind of going through his channel the past 2 times that not everything I give a shit about, not everything I'm gonna want to talk about, and not everything's even relevant anymore because he posts all the fucking time. I think the oldest thing I have is from about like 4 months ago, which might be this one. Hold on, it's from 11 hours ago. Never mind. One of these from 3 months, one's from 4 months, and one's I forget which one. But these are the 4 we're gonna do today. We're not gonna dig anymore, and we're just gonna roll with these. So without further ado, Mr. Harmon, the floor is yours.
Monster Hunter Wilds is a really good indication of what we can expect from the PC Master Race going forward. Games
Oh
are going to
word.
launch on it. They're going to be broken day one, and people are slowly going to realize that I can play a better version of the game.
Why are you talking about it like it's something that's gonna come out soon? The way you just phrased that was like the PC just came out. That's weird. You're a weird guy.
Game on PlayStation 5 with better visuals, better frame rate, better ease of use than I ever could on a gaming PC. And right now, the
Hold on.
cope ease of use than I ever could on a gaming PC. And right the game on PlayStation 5 with better visuals, better frame rate,
Mm-hmm.
better ease of use than I ever could on a gaming PC.
So you do have a PlayStation. You do have something that's not Nintendo. But you're gonna wait. So wait. So you're gonna choose to play it on PlayStation, but you're still gonna like kind of bash it at the same time. Not it as a Monster Hunter, but like I mean, you're obviously not like a fan of PlayStation, right? I want to know your thoughts on the PlayStation because right now I feel like you're just using the PlayStation just to dig at Xbox, like an enemy is my friend type thing. Interesting.
And right now, the cope among PC gamers is that, like, oh, you can just patch it, fans will fix it, da da da, just upgrade your machine, bro. But that isn't viable for the vast majority
Yes,
of the population, right? The reality is this
which is not entirely false because it can be expensive. That's why I don't have one because I can't fucking afford one. But those who can afford it, you don't have to buy a $3,000 PC. You have to buy every new graphics card that comes out. You're just trying to make it seem like it's something that it's really not.
This is why PC gaming is and always will be niche. If you have to highly customize your
Everything's niche.
hardware for every game that comes out, it simply doesn't offer enough in returns. You are better off.
I don't believe you have to. You don't have to. You can. You don't have to. And I'm sure there's like standard optimization settings that you can. I'm not a PC guy. This is just my fucking logic. Like it doesn't make sense to me that you have to do that for every single game. You can. You don't have to.
Getting a much more affordable piece of
Wasn't the cost?
hardware than wasting your time with these broken Steam releases. And I imagine this is the intention of Sony.
You know, this isn't even a problem with the PC. This is a problem with the game development. You just don't like the PC. And also, Monster Hunter Wilds isn't out yet, I don't think. Even to this video, like, review copies are out, but I don't think the game itself released yet, did it? Because the last thing I heard about it, about a PC PS5 comparison of the Monster Hunter Wilds, was from the beta. And you cannot take what is in the beta and apply it to the full release because it is a beta. The point of the beta is to find bugs and to have the developers iron them out before release. I hate when people fucking do that. People are so fucking stupid. They don't understand the simple of what a fucking beta or alpha or demo is.
Releasing their games on PC.
Sorry!
Because what do you get?
Someone,
right? You get ports that are 2 years late, that are broken, that look.
Do you know about Harmon Smith, Tyree? Aside from the little clip in the I sent you in the video, I don't know if you watched yet. Hey, do you know about this guy beforehand? This dude's been around for a while, and he's like a fucking gaming locale, and it's crazy. Like, I'm surprised he's still like around. No, well, well, strap the fuck on, bro. This shit's gonna be wild.
Worse than they do on PS5.
I got 6
that
hours talking about this fucking guy.
While
Yes,
the sequel is coming out perfectly intact on PlayStation hardware. I imagine this is the intention of Sony releasing their games on PC. Because what do you get? Right? You get ports that are 2 years late that are.
Monster Hunter isn't a PlayStation exclusive, is it? There's definitely Monster Hunter games on the Xbox. So what the fuck are you talking about? Monster Hunter Wilds isn't exclusive to PS5, is it? Right. So what the fuck are you talking about, Harmon? You can't. PlayStation's not using Monster Hunter for anything. I really need you to explain how the fuck you came to that conclusion, my guy.
Are broken, that look worse than they do on PS5. That while the sequel is coming out perfectly intact on PlayStation hardware, right? You know, this is I think what Sony's strategy is to.
I didn't play the beta, but as I just said, like even if the beta runs well on PlayStation, that's totally fine. But that doesn't mean it's just gonna be better outright. I can almost goddamn guarantee you that it's gonna have better frame rates on PlayStation. That means it's gonna be perfect, not necessarily, but I cannot even pretend to imagine that. Like even not even the highest end cards would be necessary to run that game perfectly fine on PC.
To destroy the narrative that PC gaming is the superior platform by releasing broken versions of their games on Steam and other PC distribution sites. Just so
Harmon, my guy, please explain to me the difference between a narrative and what is this situation? It is a fact that the PC is superior to all other consoles. That's not. I'm a Xbox guy, and I can admit that. That's not hard for me to see, because I live in fucking reality, my guy. You can't just say shit and just pretend that it's true.
So people get the impression that PC gaming is completely unviable, and yeah, it seems like
That's insane.
with just the just slew of bad PC ports over the past couple of years, that this problem is not going to be remedied. You know, people thought you would be able to escape.
This problem will not be remedied by the erasure of PC. This problem will be remedied by the erasure of bad developers. That's pretty much enough said, really. I mean,
escape Sony by leaving the PlayStation hardware. But this is a really good example of how Sony
right.
merely existing is making your games worse. Even if you choose not to play on their platform. Right? Like Sony is
That's an
utilizing their
interesting thing to say because usually the narrative around that is that this Xbox Series S is holding back this generation of video games, which I would agree with. I've never heard that about the PlayStation. Even the PlayStation, the whatever cheaper model is. I never heard that about PlayStation. PlayStation, like even if you may not like the games per se, but they've been rather solid game. Like structurally speaking, they're pretty solid.
underhanded tactics to show you why PC gaming is unviable and steering their easily manipulated audience back into the herd. They're treating
They
you
are
like
easily manipulated.
cattle
That is
because you'll
true.
know you'll come crawling back for more Stellar Blade and more The Last of Us, right? They know.
I mean, like, listen, bruh. Stellar Blade was a hit. I mean, you saying someone coming up for Stellar Blade, that's not like an insult. Now, if you want to say motherfuckers come back for Last of Us, that might be an insult because the second one was kind of trish ash. I think I actually saw rumors that they canceled development on the third one. I need to look into that. I think it was like a passing article. It might just be nothing, but if that's true, they did. Oh, because what? It wasn't even last year, supposedly, right? But even last year, they had the whole. They announced the cancellation of that Last of Us factions game that the fans have been waiting for a very long time. That Neil has been promising for a very long time, and they did just tweet out, "Oh yeah, we're not doing it." Paraphrase, but still, I'm surprised that whatever city that Neil Druckmann lived in isn't like razed to the ground by now. If they actually did cancel the development of three, I think they might be trying to change the story or something. Well, then I guess that wouldn't be technically canceled. It'd be more like delayed. Uh, with how the second one exactly. But it's been how long since then? Why are they saying that now? That's a problem. Just right. That's crazy. If they're gonna spend all this, well, then that would just parallel what they did with the Last of Us factions, because they waited how long to cancel that shit. I don't see how PlayStation fanboys can really have faith in not Naughty Dog, but in Neil Druckmann. Like that nigga needs to get fucking fired, bro.
That they
He's ruining
they
that
have you
company.
bitch made. Okay, and it's gonna get worse. It is gonna get worse. The past decade has been like a really enlightening kind of look into the mindset of the Snoy, right? No matter what happens, no matter how bad the
Snoy.
games get, no matter how broken, no matter how far they depart uh, from what they originally liked about PlayStation, a certain demographic will always come out and
So you like to project a lot, Harmon, because how do you know what they used to like? There's plenty of gamers that became gamers in their 30s who didn't grow up with old PlayStation, who only know Uncharted and forward. You know what I'm saying? And from Uncharted and forward, it's kind of like Uncharted and The Last of Us have been it for Naughty Dog for since 2014, I think. No, when did the first? I think The Last of Us came out in 2012 ish, but Uncharted came out in like 2008. But still, right? So how the fuck do you know, Mister? I don't do fucking research on anybody else. Like how do you know these things? Can you tell me a name perhaps? That might help. Oh,
just worship Sony no matter what. And we've been seeing this for years. This has been like a
Some
pretty
business,
consistent
true.
pattern for a long time. Just look at how many people like tried to say that Nintendo didn't have any RPGs when Pokemon was quickly becoming the biggest RPG on the planet, right? Look at how they tried.
You're talking as if Pokemon is new. That sentence sounded like someone just said that like last week. Pokemon's been out since like what? Fucking 83 or no, 90 93, right? That first black and white one came out in like 93ish. Something it was around the time 93 94. So like what are you talking about? You probably weren't even conscious back then. You're probably still in the same basement.
To say the N64 had no games when all of its games are so much more iconic and relevant today than anything on the PS1, right? Like
How?
we're seeing
Excuse me?
more and more
Can someone please tell me who the fuck N64 games are more relevant
its
than
games
PS1
are
games?
so much more iconic and relevant today.
I don't think that's true. Because what N64 game has had a Crash trilogy treatment or Spyro trilogy treatment? Those are both PS1 games or PS1 mascots and shit. First of all, when fucking Xbox like way back in the day bought whoever the fuck did Crash, and like that PlayStation icon became or mascot became essentially a Xbox mascot, but they didn't really do much. They kind of fucked it up when they bought it, the IP. But still, it's a crazy thing to see. I digress. The point is, you're wrong, Harmon. What the fuck else was on PS1? That is, I was thinking. I thought of Kingdom Hearts 2, but that's on Kingdom Hearts. That's on PS2. But still, there's many other that's still. I can't even think of any other Nintendo 64 games. When was Sunshine remastered? I'm pretty sure they got a remaster, but that was a while ago, right? The cult following, maybe. Yeah, a cult following doesn't make it relevant. It means that like the fucking the worst game ever made, E.T. for Atari has its own fucking cult following. What are you talking about? Concord has its own following. Does that make it relevant? Hell no. No, no, no.
Than anything on the
GoldenEye,
PS1,
yes. I
right?
would love that
Like
shit
we're
remade. Wait,
seeing
are they still doing that? I heard rumors about that. Maybe like what, last year, maybe 2 years ago. Are they still doing that? Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, right, right.
more and more that like the mountain of lies that Sony has built over the decades is crumbling, and now they have to drag PC gaming into it.
I don't think they're crumbling.
They have to destroy the narrative that is propped up over the past decade or more that PC gaming is the superior piece of hardware for the dedicated gaming enthusiast, because it's not true. It
You're
never has.
saying you said uh PlayStation is dragging PC into it, but that's what suggests that PC that PlayStation has some kind of control over what the fuck happens in the PlayStation sphere. You have the shit backwards. They're porting their shit to PC because they need to. PC doesn't need PlayStation. PlayStation needs PC. Now they do. If they took way too long to do this, so it might they're really like kind of crawling to like clawing up the fucking side of the wall. But they're still doing it. Like better late than never, but never late is better. Like come on.
Has been true. Even John Carmack will tell you that's not true, right? But
I don't know who
the
that is.
online gaming community, behind their PC screens are telling you that PC gaming is superior. Apparently, because they think posting on Twitter and jacking off to Overwatch porn is just the high water point for
Projection. No. That's not why they feel that PC is superior. They feel PC is superior because PC is superior. It's really that simple, Harmon.
For PC gaming, right? Like, oh, I spend so much time masturbating to Diva that that means
That
that
sounds like
PC gaming
projection.
is better than Nintendo. Like, who you jacking off over, bro? It's just like,
Listen, I don't know why you're fixated on this, my guy, but listen, uh, how am I going to articulate this? Uh, oh, whatever platform you decide to fucking beat your dick to doesn't make it better or worse. That's purely subjective. That's purely subjective. I mean, I'm not going about to expose myself, but listen, bro.
come on. Like, come on. This is what the PC Master Race talks about. If I had $500, I would spend it all on Nikkei rolls.
Really?
Like,
Because it sounds like what the
that's
fucking Nintendo fanboys
legit their
talking about.
mindset. I've heard people say that. That is legit the mindset of the PC gamer that they'll.
You know, I really feel like you only hear people through microphones. Would that be an accurate statement, Harmon? When's the last time you heard like a voice, like, like unfiltered by technology? Have you ever had a girl whisper in your ear before, Harmon? I'm just curious. Like outside of your mother or your nanny. Like, have you had something like that, bro? Do you know what like a voice sounds like? Do you know what like the feeling of someone's vocal cords like purely vibrating your fucking eardrum? I don't think you know what that feels like, Harmon.
Like throw money
Yes.
to get like
I'm
JPEG
so glad you
images
did, Tyree.
of
I'm so
underage
happy for you, my
girls
guy.
like to titty bounce or whatever, right? Like that's their mindset.
Dog, you
That's
can't just be saying shit like that when talk to my nigga Tyree. What'd you say?
JPEG images of underage girls like to titty bounce or whatever, right? Like that's their mindset. That's what they want. That's what they get excited for. That is the
Okay, okay. Um, I don't know where you're getting little girls from or underage girls from, but I believe you're trying. I'm trying to help you out here, Harmon. Okay, I think you're trying to say that the over sexualization of games like Stellar Blade is what's attracting people to PlayStation. Okay, now I can understand that, and I mean, shit. I mean, do you, bro? But like, if that is the case, Harmon, then what's the problem with that, really? If guys or girls who girls love fucking Stellar Blade too, and Nier Automata and Bayonetta, and they're all hypersexual. Well, Nier Automata is not super hypersexual, but there's things like if it takes enough damage, like her skirt will fall off and you see her ass while she's walking away. But that's more tame than let's say Bayonetta or Stellar Blade. But again, what is the problem with that? If that's the kind of game that whoever guys gamers like, then what's the problem with that? It's not. It's not porn. It's not an AO game. It's just a mature game. Are you mad that Cellblade's not on Switch? So you can't see those titties for yourself? Well, you could. You have a PlayStation, right? Use this shit, bro. What do you mean?
PC Master Race. Okay. And we do have to get into this mindset that PC gamers are and always have been posers, right? What games are they playing? Like what games are they talking about? What games are they excited for?
Listen, man, just look at Steam and you'll see. You're asking questions that are very easily researchable. And I was mentioning this yesterday. And I haven't posted this clip yet, but your ignorance is really should be fucking studied. Like honestly, we should really get like a fucking Family Guy. Remember that like Washington Monument, Obama Monument joke? He needs an Obama monument to his fucking ignorance.
For. Why are they so fixated on what Nintendo is doing? The reason being is that they're
No one
scared.
cares what Nintendo's
They're
doing.
scared of the inevitable reality when Nintendo
I don't know where you got that from, because PlayStation guys are all up PlayStation's ass. So for you to suggest that they give a shit about what's going on Nintendo, you actually goddamn, bro. They care more what's going on Xbox. That's their actual direct competition. They're all in competition. But if we're talking like who's actually like ripping each other apart, it'd be the two console fanboys groups. Nintendo's just over there trying to throw rocks, but they keep missing because they have two dimensions. You know what I'm saying?
develops new pieces of hardware that demonstrate why dedicated gaming platforms are here to stay. They're terrified of the general public,
Is
turning on
PC not a dedicated gaming platform? What did you mean by that? Was that PC? Was that for PC or PlayStation? Either way, you're fucking wrong.
them and calling them out on their autism and their ridiculousness, right? We are in this position where this is probably the last
That's crazy,
stand
Matthew.
of like real genuine anti Nintendo discourse in the industry, right? This idea that you can just emulate everything on PC, which is not and never has been true, but a lot of people still.
Do you see what I'm saying? You don't believe it because you choose not to see it. People emulate all the time. There's emulation sites that do get shut down by Nintendo because they don't like people emulating their shit. But guess what? The internet's going to internet and just make another one. Just because you don't like it, just because you can't just put horse blinders on and pretend la 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 it's not there.
Stand by that mantra anyway, because when you ask them what they're actually playing, they're just kind of like,
I, who do you
what is a
talk to?
video game?
I really want to know who it is you're talking to. Because I can't really take this man beyond anything but his word, because he doesn't fucking show receipts. But like in the back of my head, I feel like he does have a picture of somebody in his head who he's talking about, but he's not ever saying who it is, right? So it's like, how can I like show any validity in what the fuck you're saying if I can't even look at the tweet or whatever fuck you're talking about or the video you're referencing? You make it so difficult, Harmon.
Yeah, that is legit like their mindset. Like they don't know anything about what's actually out there on Nintendo platforms. They have no idea that Monolith
Yeah, they
Soft
don't care.
produced Xenoblade Chronicles. They have no idea that
They sure
that's
as
a
fuck don't care
Nintendo
about
first
that.
party studio and will never come to PC. Even a decade later, people still genuinely
Emulation.
believe that Bayonetta 2 is going to be ported to the real gaming platforms, and it's just nothing but a gigantic believe that Bayonetta 2 is going to be ported to the real gaming platforms, and it's just
Was that to suggest that Bayonetta 2 is not on PC or not on Switch? I'm not sure what he means by that, but I feel like both of those are wrong. I'd be very surprised if Bayonetta couldn't play on the Switch. And obviously, I don't need to say emulation for the 15th time, but
nothing but a gigantic hope, right? It is a lie about
yes, I
it
agree.
is a lie concocted by people who are desperate to keep the illusion going because I think these these people, this is all they have. Like this is all they do in their time is that they spend 12 hours a day behind a YouTube screen, reacting to Nintendo YouTubers talking about how much better Nintendo is than PC gaming. They're not playing games, they're not enjoying themselves.
That's kind of funny, but I'm not a PC guy. Because I was thinking the whole time up until he said sitting and watching YouTube, like, with that little bit there. I'm like, you're describing yourself, aren't you? I was picturing him like looking at a mirror of himself, just talking to himself while recording the video. But that part just made me laugh.
They're just trying to monetize Harmon
He
Smith
tried though.
because they desperately want to get out of their dead end job and they desperately,
You're
desperately,
monetized?
desperately just want to be degenerates all the time. That is the PC master race. Okay. That is who these people are at their core, and it needs to be acknowledged among the general community. The PC gaming community is not something that is worthy of your attention or respect.
But why though? I know you just had like a whole 9 minute thingy thing there, but like when you kind of end it like that's a whole separate thing you need to explain to me. Because word of respect and like whatever the hell you just talked about are not like you mix a whole lot of shit together, my guy. Well, that was what 11 hours ago. What we got about this one? Nobody's talking about it. A giant cope to downplay new Nintendo games from 4 months ago. I'm not even gonna try to pretend that I'm gonna think about what Nintendo games came out in the past 4 months.
I've been talking about the narratives
We're here for the
against
narrative.
The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Super
Hello?
Mario Bros. Wonder since they came out,
Oh,
right?
jeez.
I've talked about this. I've posted about like the weird
What's
arbitrary
audio? Is it me?
complaints. Back in the day, back in the Breath of the Wild days, it was like complaining about my
Oh, it probably was my connection probably just fucked
weapon
up for a second.
degradation
Hold on.
system, right? It was about like complaining about the weapons breaking. And now it's this weird shift where we're like trying to gaslight people into thinking the game is a rehash and that nobody is talking about it. Again, that was the big cope throughout like all of
Yeah, I'm acting like a
2023.
motherfucker.
Nobody is talking about it. Even though that's clearly a contradictory statement, even though that was observably
Hold
not
on one
true,
second. I gotta fix something real quick. My shit's fucking up. All right, say it again.
about it. Again, that was the big cope throughout like all of 2023. Nobody is talking about it. Even though that's clearly a contradictory statement, even though that was observably not my weapon degradation system, right? It was about like complaining about the weapons breaking. And now it's this weird shift where we're
Yes, I distinctly remember when Breath of the Wild came out that people really didn't like the weapon degradation situation because not only were a lot of them weapons weak, but even your favorite weapons would break, and you would have to choose something else. You couldn't repair it. Like I get the idea. That's kind of bullshit. You can't repair it. Like even Dark Souls 2, a weapon will break, but you can still even use it for like minuscule damage, but you still have it, and then you can still repair it later on. To have a weapon break, especially if it's something that like you worked hard for, like the Master Sword breaks, or at least it broke back when it originally came out, and that's a box of bullshit. All that work and that shit, nah, son, you got your goddamn.
we're like trying to gaslight people into thinking the game is a rehash and that nobody is talking about it. Again, that was the big cope throughout like all of 2023. Nobody is talking about it. even though that's clearly a contradictory statement, even though that was observably not true, even though people were playing through the game, even though I released several statements talking about like
You know, people are hyperbolic like that, and I was hyperbolic like that myself. When I say shit like "Who cares?" or "Nobody cares," but when it comes from him, it feels different. It feels like, mm, is no one talking about it? Or is that what people are saying? I don't know. You like everything you say just makes me just squint a little more. You know.
how much I was enjoying the game and things along that line. Like people really allowed this to be accepted as mainstream discourse in regard to both The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And if anything, I would argue it kind of like extends to other games in general because like
Oh,
you heard a
another
lot of
clean
people say the
glass.
same
Good for
thing
you,
about
Harmon.
Splatoon 3 and Luigi's Mansion 2 and Fire Emblem Engage, right? Emio, the Smiling Man. Like, it just seems to be the go-to cope right now. To downplay whatever Nintendo game comes out is just to like try and say delusionally that it
You know, when you say downplay, do you mean that like what's the difference to you between downplaying and having a legitimate criticism? Because a lot of these things are just matters of perspective. Because downplaying a game would be like how you describe Elden Ring. You just walk around here. You backstab people. You just kind of you die over and over again, and that's it. That's downplaying a game, right? Reduction, whatever the hell. Both actually. So when you say downplay, I feel like you're about to say something along those lines, but then trail off somewhere like you usually do. But like I really hope you tell me what the fuck you mean by downplaying.
it's some big disaster that nobody's talking about it, that nobody cares about. Like it's typical like snoy nonsense. Okay. Like this is the kind of thing you used to see back in the Wii U days. And I do think that's like the issue that ever since like Animal Crossing New Horizons came out, which I think is shaping up to be like the most successful
I don't play
game
Animal
in
Crossing.
the
I have no
Switch's
idea.
lineup of successful games. Ever since New Horizons came out, there was now this new gold standard. So like Pretendos were able to gaslight people into thinking the console was trending downward when really it was just coming down from its all-time high. Like and that's like that's all that needs to be said about this.
Yeah, that is all that needs to be said because that's not a false statement. You fucking banana. If it's at a peak and it goes down, that's going down. No, from wherever it started, wherever the peak is, it's going down is going down regardless. Does that mean it is utter trash because it's going down? No, it doesn't. That's just the nature of the life cycle of games.
Is that because the line stopped going up, that now means the Switch is a failure after becoming the most popular console of all time. Easily outstripping the PS2 and the
That's not true. I
PS1.
don't think. PS2
Like
still is,
the
isn't it?
Nintendo Switch is this masterclass of a console, but people don't like admitting it. And so we're in this really weird situation now where every single Nintendo game
A master class of a console. I don't want to disagree with that. In its own right, it is successful, right? And it's quite unique. It is a good innovation from the other handheld stuff. Is it perfect? No. I don't think I would call it a masterclass either. But it's not. It's certainly not bad. I don't know. I'm thinking it might be sucking them a little too hard there, Harmon.
has to be massively downplayed. No More Heroes 3 got attacked. Bayonetta 3 got attacked. Uh, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Like the list
I don't know who or what attacked No More Heroes or Bayonetta. As far as I'm aware, they're both completely fine games. But the past few entries into the Pokemon series has not been like mainline games have not been super well received. I don't think it's like necessarily the change to the formula. I think it's just they're out of good. They've been out of good ideas for a while, in my opinion. And the last one even enjoyed was Sapphire, but that's
So
just me, I guess.
really keeps going on and on and on. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. How many times have you seen like some weird like Coomer on like 4chan trying to gaslight you into thinking that like Monolith Soft censored
I don't know what a
Xenoblade
Kumar
Chronicles
is.
3? Like that's such a weird nonsensical complaint about a game like this, but you have seriously like trying to make that argument. And it's gotten to the point where Xenoblade fans have gotten a reputation for like calling out these people on their nonsense. And so like now they have a reputation for being like these huge bootlickers because they seem to be one of the only groups in the Nintendo fan
The
base
Xenoblade
that's
people?
willing to go up against like the autism of the Snoys, right? Everyone else, like this is my big criticism of Nintendo fans. Why are more people not standing up in support of Nintendo games? Like every single time, like it's this thing where like someone releases a statement about a game and it's like, oh, that's kind of true.
Because not everybody deep throat Nintendo like you do. You kind of mentioned this the first time I reacted to you, or something. This kind of idea of just like blind support just because it's Nintendo. You cannot force people to support stuff they don't want to support. Why aren't you supporting it? Because I don't like that game. I don't buy every single Xbox game, but I still love Xbox. I sure as fuck don't buy every game on Xbox. Even if I had the money for it, I wouldn't do it. Because I only buy what I want to buy.
Like, oh, I can see where you're coming from with that. Like, people are way too nice about this. Like, again, you need to tell these
You don't have to be
people
a dick
to
about it.
fuck off. Again, like I remember growing up and
Excuse
hearing
me,
people
my
like
bad.
talk shit like, "Oh, Ocarina of Time is just a remake of A Link to the Past." Nobody who seriously played both would think that. It's so completely like out of touch with reality.
And
And
yet, somebody like you would say that the Dark Souls games are all the same. As far as I know, you haven't played them, but you have said that before. So, like, do you see like the kind of through line here, my guy, or no?
really has nothing to do with anything other than like some vague similarities because they're part of the same IP or whatever, right? They're nothing alike. Like outside of the general core structure and gameplay. And yet, for some reason, that was like taken as God.
They are nothing alike, but the general feel and gameplay, what the fuck he said, or the look and gameplay, whatever they said. So they are then similar in at least that way, right? So it's not really a bad thing to admit that a game within the same IP or a pair of games or multiple games the same IP have the same fucking feel. As I said yesterday, Atlas makes the same kinds of games. Persona, uh, Shin Megami Tensei, and now Metaphor Refantasio. But they all have the same feeling, the core feel to them. Same kind of stylistic kind of motion, same kind of a slice of life day cycle thing, calendar shit, things going on, time limits to do things, social links and the fucking JoJo stand powers that persist through all the games. I've not seen a single person complain about any one of this shit. Even when Reap Fantasia was new, no one said a damn thing about it being too similar to Persona or Shin Megami Tensei. The Souls games, Mario, Sonic, some Zelda games. The fuck you talk GTA? The fuck you talk about? GTA and GTA Mafia and fucking Red Dead. They all motherfuckers move the same. All the gunplay plays the same. Cover, shoot, reload, pick up this gun, small dot reticle. Popping out a whole lot of ammo. Nigga, I swear to God.
Gospel for a lot from a lot of people, right? Like again, even today, you still see a handful of people insisting only the first 5 Zeldas was good. Now, obviously, that is a complete
Some
cope
people they have
and
their opinions.
completely out of
Let them
touch
have
with
their opinions.
reality, right? It it's just not true at all. But a lot of people religiously swear by that. You know, you see that with the Super Mario Bros. Games where
So, some
people
people
say the
do.
game
That's
stopped
the
being
core
good after
fans.
3 or World,
And you
right?
swear by fucking anything Nintendo does? What is the difference between you and them, Harmon? Sometimes I really think you argue with yourself. Like you literally project yourself across the room and argue with yourself. Like maybe you have alternate accounts. Maybe it's like split, you know? It's like 7 different people just keep arguing with each other about stupid shit.
You know, everyone disavows New Super Mario Bros. Everyone disavows like Mario Wonder, right? You know, you see this with like 3D Mario sometimes, where people attack everything after Galaxy, right? Galaxy is my favorite game ever. Like everything after that was a disappointment, right? You see this with like Metroid games
Then let
sometimes. You
it
know,
be
I
his
grew up
fucking
being
favorite. What's the problem with that? Just because someone rides hard for one of the game doesn't mean he just automatically hates the rest of them. He's just riding hard for that one. And he's bigging up that one. That's his team right now. What's the problem with that? Because you disagree? Can you explain why Galaxy isn't as good as whatever the hell one you're thinking of?
told that Metroid Fusion was so bad that I shouldn't even be like again. I it took me a decade, over a decade, to get around to playing Metroid Fusion because
You know, I do remember there was some Metroid game came out relatively recently that did not do well. Maybe that's what he's talking about. But like again, like I need you to tell me what you believe to be to be legit criticism. Because if that answer is it's only a criticism if it's coming from me, that's a problem. It's not criticism if it's not or it's it doesn't count if it's not agreeing with me. If it's against me, it doesn't count as criticism, as legit criticism. Or are you just kind of blowing up what someone says, or are you taking like that very like you saw that one comment with no likes, no fucking comments, no whatever, and you just saw that and got mad about it. That one random person who also says stupid shit.
I was told by everyone that the game was terrible, that I was a step down from Super, that I shouldn't bother playing it. And when I finally got around to playing it, I realized it was actually a really good game. And I can see that like the same thing is happening.
That is actually a good thing, Mr. Smith. That means that you heard negative shit and you went and go solve for yourself. And I hope based off your opinion, well, you didn't just go in there wanting to like it. You ended up liking it for yourself. That's great. Let them hate it, let you like it, and then move the fuck on.
With like Samus Returns and Metroid Dread. You know, fantastic
I
new
think that's the
Metroid
one. Samus
games
Returns
that should have gotten way
didn't
more
do well, as
praise
far
and
as I remember.
attention were just relegated to just being attacked for no reason. Kid Icarus Uprising, right? This big revival of a classic gaming IP.
No reason
Game
subjective.
journos, most notably people like Jim Sterling, a man who has a vendetta against Nintendo. Like, game journos came out and tried fabricating this narrative that the
He only said
controls
that
didn't
because
work.
Jim Sterling's trans.
And then like years later, they did the same thing with Star Fox Zero, which people still like repeat incessantly. Like, again, it needs to stop. Okay, like, again, people are talking about Super Mario Bros. And Tears of the Kingdom, right? People are talking about all these Nintendo
You
games,
just said nobody
but
did.
all they do is just
Like 5
constantly
minutes
just
ago.
whine and cry about everything, to the point where actual enthusiasts like myself can't even really take them seriously as valid complaints. Because when you really think about it critically, like, what actual
You know who else can't take someone's fucking words as valid complaints? Everyone who listens to your fucking videos, Harmon. I can't even imagine one valid complaint. I've almost watched you for talked about you for 6 hours, or maybe almost 7 hours. I cannot even think of one solid criticism you had, or one solid what the fuck I can't remember what the fuck word he used, or the one solid complaint you had. You were kind of cooking when you're talking about woke shit invading the gaming industry, but everyone knows that. That's not really saying anything new. I'm the type that you said that, like, that you're actually kind of on something, but you put it in the wrong spot. You pinned it on the wrong chest, let me say.
complaint that people have with Tears of the Kingdom and Super Mario Bros. Wonder? How are these games significantly lesser than what came before them? You can see by playing Tears of the Kingdom.
If we're gonna take Tears of Kingdom and Breath of the Wild as examples, I feel like that's what we're gonna go with. The reason why people were upset by it was because it was essentially the same map. It felt too familiar. Sure, they added Sky Island. Sure, they added some new stuff here and there. This, that, and the third. But it was too familiar, and people didn't like that. And that's completely understandable. Like, say if Dark Souls 3 was just a zhuzhed up Dark Souls 2 world, people wouldn't have liked that at all.
How much different it is from playing Breath of the Wild, right? You can see all the new mechanics, all the great new dungeons, the change in direction, how characters have changed and evolved over time. Like, if you loved Breath of the Wild, you should love Tears of the Kingdom. And yet there's
In
this
theory.
compulsive, obsessive need to try and like pretend as if that isn't true. Like, oh, we wanted older Zelda games. We wanted more traditional Zeldas, and
Some
we're
people
never
do.
gonna get it. And then
Some people do.
and then Nintendo releases Echoes of Wisdom.
Like that remake of Majora's Mask. Whichever top-down one got that remake did very well. I think I played that on my cousin's ex's Switch as well. Yeah, as far as I know, that game did extremely well. So there is a market for the older style games.
Which people tried to go after, but because they spent so much time like railing on Tears of the Kingdom, it was kind of a lost cause for them. But like, again, they still tried to go after Echoes of Wisdom, right? Like, they constantly do this thing where they just complain about everything, and it just boggles the mind. It's so out of touch with the actual state of the gaming industry.
I agree.
Because what other company has kept their IPs as fresh and relevant as Nintendo has? Pikmin.
What is fresh to you? Because as I stated before, a good bit of those recent Pokemon games are kind of trizash. I think Power World was so popular. love or hate them, uh, PlayStation has had a solid run with Uncharted. And before that, it was the Jack and Dexter and the other games they had before. They've been rather consistent. Xbox, Halo, Gears of War. Um, now, uh, in the modern times, these games haven't been the best. I'm not trying to defend either one of them, but to say that they haven't been fresh is kind of you may not like Gears 5, but it's different, right? People had problems with Halo Infinite, but that was actually quite successful. It gives you an up and down as games do, but like that's still solid. We're about to get Gears E Day, right? Now, if you were to say that no one puts out as many games as Nintendo at any one time, that would probably I'll probably say that's true, but that doesn't make it like fresh or even relevant. Because the games suck, that doesn't make them relevant. Conker's not relevant in terms of like good games. It's relevant in terms of what not to do, like Dustborn and Suicide Squad. But what I call it relevant in a positive way, no.
Debuted in 2001, right? People called it a failure of an IP. Everybody hated it. The GameCube was a joke. Like Nintendo was supposed to go third party
That's not
because
true.
Pikmin was
GameCube's
such
very
a
popular.
failure, right? And yet when Pikmin 4 comes out, it becomes a huge success. Why? Because Nintendo stuck with the IP, they built up its audience, and they developed the franchise. I wouldn't even say Pikmin 4 is good, right? But because of all
No, that's just because if that game was good, that means that game was just good. Everything you said does not make a good game. Saints Row, for example, series, for example, 1, 2, extremely good. 3 is pretty mid, and it just kind of declines from there. Just because you build up the legacy doesn't mean that legacy will just continue, right? And now look what happened to Saints Row. God, that makes me so sad.
all the good games they did make, right, with 1 through 3, like Pikmin 4 was by far the most successful out of any of them. Like again, what other
That's
company
fine.
could have made that work? Like again, nobody comes even close.
Microsoft.
Baldur's Gate 1 came out in like 98, right? Nobody talks about it. Nobody remembers it, right? Nobody plays that game at all. And now it looks like we're not even going to get a sequel to Baldur's Gate 3, right? Like it's crazy when you compare.
How can you say that? The time between these games are massive for a reason. Much like GTA, time between these games are massive. Baldur's Gate 3 came out in 2023 ish. You should not expect a sequel until like at least 2030. I wouldn't even expect DLC till 2026.
Like there's just the level of quality and care put into Nintendo games versus their competitors, and everybody just delusionally wants to pretend otherwise. People really try and prop up Astrobot as an example of like
Hearing you use the word delusional, it just tickles me pink.
the peak of 3D platforming. Completely ignoring the fact that Mario is right there. Completely ignoring the fact that Astrobot is somehow like
Mario would be the king of 2D platforming, not 3D platforming. 3D platforming would probably be something like Crash. Yeah.
comes up short compared to like Donkey Kong 64 and Banjo Kazooie, games that are almost 30 years old. You know, never mind like the current state of game. Like we see this all the time, in which people prop up mediocrity in order to downplay the excellence of Nintendo and its games.
No, people probe up mediocrity because they're trying to push a narrative. And then they ain't got shit to do with the fucking Nintendo. That got something to do with something else entirely. Again, you're like a quarter of the way there, but you keep pinning shit on the wrong thing. Oh god, the new Nintendo narrative. Nobody's talking about it. It's just a coat to downplay new. Okay, I might not watch this whole thing, but it might just be a rehash of what the hell we just saw. So I mean, let's give a couple minutes and see what he's saying.
The narrative right now is really interesting because we're seeing a bit of a shift when it comes to the Nintendo narrative online. What was once this very clear cut, very straightforward narrative of Nintendo just can't remain competitive with other platforms has kind of shifted into this weird
Well, they can't
parody of itself. In
because if we're talking about hardware, no, they can't. If we're talking about the games that can be played, which is hardware, right? No, they can't. It depends on the metrics that you're asking for. But if we're talking about like just like a general competition, no, son. No, 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 no.
which everyone online, every time we get a new Nintendo game, whether it's Princess Peach Showtime or Mario Wonder or Tears of the Kingdom or the recently released Mario and Luigi Brothership, every single time you have everyone screaming at you about how the game no one is talking about it, nobody cares about the game, nobody plays it, it failed, even though games like Mario Wonder and Tears of the Kingdom have outperformed the games that people are saying are far more popular. Baldur's Gate 3 being one obvious example, but
I really need to look at these numbers, but if that is the case, not to make any excuses, but they're very different audiences. This is a mature role playing game. That is the game made for children. Far more accessible, far easier to get children on hooked on these bright colors and fucking cute ass things. And there's way more kids and adults that like those things more than people like or will gravitate to them more than Baldur's Gate. But that doesn't mean Baldur's Gate's a failure by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, he won Game of the Year that year. I'm like, what are we talking about?
this
I think
extends
Tears of
to a
Kingdom won
number of other titles,
that year
including
too.
Elden Ring,
So essentially on the same
Starfield,
metric. Yeah.
Hogwarts Legacy. Like the recent Nintendo games are clearly more popular than any of that. But the narrative cannot
Nah,
bring
not Hogwarts
itself to
Legacy. Nope,
face
no,
it.
no, no, no,
So
nope,
with
nope.
every new major release, we go through this same old song and dance, this tired, exhausting, completely fabricated narrative that nobody is talking about the new Nintendo release. And this is, of course, like a complete cope, but people say it so
I wouldn't. I really wouldn't
often and are
say.
so
Oopsies. That nobody's talking about it. But I personally, as much as gaming shit that I listen to and kind of scroll by, I don't see a lot of Nintendo shit. That could be my own algorithm, but for real, I really don't hear a lot of people talking about Nintendo shit outside of shit like this. This is from a month ago. Anti-woke YouTubers hype up Stellar Blade IP to set gamers up for inevitable bait and switch. That should be. At least that sounds interesting.
Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 debacle, I suppose it is time to kind of address the pattern because I've been seeing this happen occasionally over the past couple of years where a game is propped up as some huge anti woke thing and then is revealed to be incredibly woke upon the actual release. Games like Hogwarts Legacy.
All right. Before you dig into this, can you? I don't know why I'm even asking you for this. Can you explain what you mean by that? Because I need you to really set up your argument here, my guy.
Up as some huge anti woke thing, and then is
Mm-hmm.
revealed to be incredibly woke upon the actual.
So I really should probably highlight that the devs of Celebrate is not the ones who do this. It's the fans and the people who in the West who do this. Um, it is only anti woke because of the suggestive, like this hypersexuality, and that this particular type of hypersexuality appeals to men, and you know, you know how that is nowadays. But revealed to be incredibly woke upon playing the game. What is woke about Stellar Blade? Women, playable women don't make a game woke.
Release. Games like Hogwarts Legacy and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 were
Hogwarts
pretty
Legacy is not woke.
self-explanatory examples of this. People made excuses for them. They bent over backwards. They tried to say that like, well, this is an anti-woke game because of this. No, like it has woke elements to it, so it's
Because
woke. I don't
because
understand
what?
what's so hard to understand about this. People aren't willing to address that the entire Western video game sphere is inherently compromised. And as such, everything is woke. Baldur's Gate 3,
Mm-hmm.
Spider Man 2, like everything,
No.
right?
No. You step in it and then you just kind of fall out. Western video games sphere is inherently compromised. That is true. Well, it's close to true. There is a lot of bullshit within the Western video game sphere when it comes to writers, when it comes to motherfuckers like Neil Druckmann, right? The fucking that first the 2 episodes ago, I I looked at the trailers for Intergalactic and The Witcher 4 at the end. Took them to show like what is what it like what the difference is between the two, right? Uh, on the other hand, on another hand, this woke shit is on a decline. Unfortunately, trends last after uh the end point because development takes a long time. And motherfuckers don't want to waste money, so like fuck it, put it out anyway. So we're still gonna see a few years of probably of bullshit before it really kind of fades away. But no, it is on the decline, I believe.
Everything is woke. Baldur's Gate 3, Spider Man 2, like
Everything is not
everything,
woke.
right? There
Spider-Man
is
2, yes.
just simply this very stubborn refusal to admit that
Spider-Man 2 is woke in a stupid ass way too. Like I remember one of the biggest things was fucking Miles Morales, and he's like half Cuban or some shit, but they had like the wrong flag in the room. That shit was hilarious.
it's true, even at this stage. And it's really interesting to see that Japanese games start going down the same path. Monster Hunter Wilds games like Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. No, it's not actually woke, bro. It is. Right, they've been, actively trying
How?
to subvert Japanese games for a very long time, but what we're seeing
You can't just
now
say it is.
is
Tell
this
me
really
how.
interesting
Give me
situation
examples.
where Stellar Blade is being hyped up as some major anti woke like success story when this is a game that's already had its woke controversy, right? They censored the costumes after insisting that they wouldn't do it. And for
Censoring costumes after they insist they wouldn't do it. How does that make it woke? Censorship's not woke. Censorship's not pushing a narrative. Censorship is folding to the uh, morality or something like that. It's a fold to censor something after you said you weren't going to censor it, which is bullshit. I ain't gonna hold you, but it ain't woke.
For the Gooners, this was some huge like travesty and some huge thing. They went out and bought the game anyway because they're simps, but like the
It happened
narrative
after
going
they
into
bought it.
this was that Stellar Blade was some huge like deal because like it has an attractive female character. Never mind that like plenty of Nintendo
Yes,
games
that is
have
a
far
huge
more
deal.
attractive female characters. Like let's put up Eve on a pedestal just because there's nothing else to talk about, right? The narrative right
No,
now
no, 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 no. You better slide that shit right the fuck back, homeboy. Say that
going
again.
into this was that Stellar Blade was some huge like deal because like it has an attractive female character. Never mind that like plenty of
Uh huh.
Nintendo games have far more attractive female characters. Like
Who? For the love of all that is holy, Harmon, give me an example for this one. I'm not saying I'm attracted to Eve from Stellar Blade, but I can see why motherfuckers are. I cannot, for the life of me, pick out a single Nintendo exclusive, whatever, female character that is attractive to begin with, let alone attractive like or more attractive than Eve. Like, I swear to God, when he said that, my mind went, is he thinking of Peach? Who the fuck you thinking about? Bayonetta, maybe? But Bayonetta's not a Nintendo thing, right? It's a PlayStation originally. It came, actually, fun fact, uh, Bayonetta came from Devil May Cry 3 or 4. That girl, I think maybe it's somewhere in the beginning, the girl with the brown skin and all white, that actually really revealing clothing, but the way she moved and shit. They took that character and made her into Bayonetta, which is really cool. Yeah, he was reaching. He's mad reaching, bro. Dude was fucking reaching like fucking Michael Jordan in Space Jam, bro.
let's put up Eve on a pedestal just because there's nothing else to talk about, right? The narrative right
My
now
coffee's
is
cold.
that like Shift Up is some major up and coming studio that put out a giga hit with Stellar Blade when it really isn't true at all.
Yes, that is absolutely a possibility. With the popularity of that game, not even just for the whole waifu type shit, but mechanically speaking, that game looks like a fun game to play. Much like Bayonetta, like sure the fucking the titties and ass might bring the young boys in, like young as like teenagers, like what I'm saying. But the gameplay will keep them around. You know what I'm saying? That's how you do it. Much like Dead or Alive. That was probably gross. I'm sorry, but no, Dead or Alive. Bunch of titties bouncing. Really fun gameplay. Where's the problem here? I don't know.
And I do think that really needs to be addressed at this stage is that this is the same setup, the
The
same
story of a
behavior, the
girl.
same pattern we saw with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, in which the first game comes out, has a reasonably dedicated like cult following and is weirdly put on this pedestal, put up as this example of just this anti-woke thing, this thing that's based traditional.
From what I heard about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, it's not like anti woke. one, there's gay shit in there. Two, it's more praise for being a good game, not because it's anti woke. And just because woke stuff isn't on the forefront or whatever the hell doesn't mean that it is meant to be anti woke. Can it just be its own thing? Why does it have to be categorized as woke or not? Why can't we just play the fucking game and have a good time?
Game design, made by people who are passionate about the medium, this huge, huge deal, right? Like, this is the best game released this year, right? A lot of people said that about the original Kingdom Come Deliverance. And what happens? Leading up to the release of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, in which people ignored all the major red flags, game journals giving it positive
Like
coverage,
what?
leaked images,
All right,
like
all right, okay, all right, okay. I 1000% understand the stigma against modern game journalists, right? But just because modern game journalists give a game good reviews does not necessarily mean that's a problem. Depending on who it is that does a review, because I don't know if you've seen, like if you look behind any like IGN or like GameSpot or whatever, like Alana Pierce has actually mentioned it. I did a video about it a little while ago about how the process of reviewing games from these journal outlets happen. They're pretty much random, right? Whether it's an article, a video, or a tweet, whatever. It's they just pick. Hey, you're on Kingdom Come Limits 2. Give me your review in like a week or so. Not really paying any mind to whether that person likes those kinds of games. It's just you're free. Do this, please. Thank you. Now knowing that, well, obviously would probably have people like raise a few eyebrows or probably do more research into whoever the hell posted the video review to check an actual check of validity if people care that much about it. But like the point is, it's not necessarily a bad thing that journals give a game a good review. Fucking Elden Ring got reviews across the board. That's the kind of shit you can't really turn your nose at. Those are all the same journalists, the same modern people. It's only a couple years ago. Like, what are we talking about?
Statements about the plot. All this stuff was completely neatly brushed under the rug in order to pretend as if no, Vavra's our guy. It doesn't matter that Embracer owns Warhorse now. He's not.
I don't know. I don't know if you've been reading the subtitles, but I don't know if it's like just how shitty YouTube subtitles are. Because I'm sure it's automatic. I don't think anybody could really sit through and like actually be a typist for this man's fucking subtitles. But those subtitles really be fucking up. Cause he's not speaking particularly he's not particularly mushmouth all the time. But those subtitles make it look like he's talking like he has a mouthful of peanut butter.
He's not going to allow them to do anything to it. Like, historical accuracy, man. And what happens? Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, in a lot of ways, is one of the most paused games of the year, right? I would argue is like the most woke game I've seen so far in 2025. And it's really not even close.
Well, well, I mean, to be fair, it's fucking what, March? What games came out this year so far besides Kingdom Come Deliverance 2? Monster Hunter's not out yet, I don't think. That's not a world game as far as I'm aware. I don't think South of Midnight doesn't come out until a little later. Oh, it just came out. Oh, well, good. That and Split Fiction. Is Split Fiction woke? It looks like it could be. Has really good reviews. That's good. Yeah. Oh, probably. I was actually kind of worried about that game you suggested because it feels like, I mean, it. Let me look at the characters, right? Not necessarily the art style, but like the characters. It's not quite Concord, but I'm like it. There's one person I want to use, and it's a girl in all white who has like the fire grenade on her finger and throws it like a fucking thing, and she teleports a little bit. I saw like an overview of all the characters, and that's the only one I even remotely cared about you playing. But I am so excited for it. If the squad's on it, then I'll ignore whatever annoying shit might there be. But the thing I like about the game is the overtime. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I saw that too. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like Gulag. I think that's a very interesting way to implement that kind of mechanic that Call of Duty did with the Gulag. But I kind of need to see how it feels before I can really be like, does it fit well? It's clean, right, right. Because it could be a game changer or it could be really fucking irritating. Because it could break the flow of the game. If it's going the way I imagine it going, like I don't know how would you even set that up? Like the first two to die go into the thing, or like the last two. Like I'm not sure how it works. It has to flow well. 'Cause if it's jagged, it's gonna fuck me up.
And we're still in this position where a lot of people, a lot of
I forgot what you were
YouTubers
talking about,
are
bro. What you say?
bending over backwards trying to defend it, right? Doing everything they possibly can to make it out to be as if like these decisions were made organically, that they weren't forced, that they're not
You know
woke
the
in
thing is about games. You don't have to really try to uh, push a good game. That'll happen naturally, right? Now, just because someone says something in defense of a game doesn't mean they're bending over backwards to do so. It is incredibly easy to defend a game like Persona 5. It's incredibly easy to defend a game like Elden Ring. I don't have to bend over at all, really. I could do laying the fuck down if I felt like it.
nature. That's what's happening with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 right now. And it's safe to say that it is going to happen with Stellar Blade. There's
Ty, after this, do you got time? Cause we could go over that those characters video if you want to, if you haven't already seen them.
going to be some major shift. There's going to be some major push to try and like make the game be taken seriously by gaming
Again, bet.
journals and mainstream outlets, right? You are going to see like woke aspects introduced into the game. I imagine it's going to be like, sapphic in nature, right? I'm sure there's going to be like
I don't know what sapphic means.
something like that to kind of just ruin the experience for everyone. There's just going to be like, I don't know, some weird political thing or like, who knows, right? It's a little bit different when it comes to like Asian releases, Korean, the developer is Korean, but like my
Something he mentioned before that I meant to say when he brought up Korea. It was just brought it back when he mentioned Korea. He said something about Stellar Blades developers being up and coming, and that's not like the case. There's a huge example as to why that's why that's a stupid thing to fucking say, because Liza P, their developers, that was their first game, or at least their first attempt at a Souls game. They're going places. What are you talking about? There is a huge like precedent for one hit wonder games in studios to just take the fall. How do you think we get the studios we have now? You think they just spawn with a catalog of games? No, everyone starts somewhere, and they both of
point
them have a very
is
good start.
that we really need to stop allowing people to hype up games based on these like false pretenses. This idea that like it's historically accurate, so it can't be woke, or that, well, it has an attractive female, so it's not woke. Like, that's not how this works, right?
Was
Like,
that for Assassin's Creed? Because for the life of me, I don't know what the hell he means by Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 being historically accurate. I never even heard that. To be fair, I didn't dig that deep into that game, but it doesn't look like a game like that. But the more recent game that has been marred in that kind of controversy would be AC Shadows because of the Black Samurai guy. And I would call that game woke as fuck because that's not necessary. And not necessary in the slightest. Especially that one trailer they had with the when they had the hip hop music while he was playing, while they were showing his skills off. Like, bruh, nah, son, that is pandering, and a big pillar of woke is pandering. Doing too much with entirely too much. I'm surprised
It's
they give the
like
man the
you
fucking
don't
stupid
understand
short
how the bait
locks,
and
fucking
switch
swoop side
works,
haircut.
right? They have to give you the bait and then they give you the switch instead. Like that's the entire point. They're tricking you into supporting
I don't believe that Stellar Blade was a bait and switch. I believe that Stellar Blade censorship was them caving. That's not the same.
products that have no business being supported in any way, shape, or form. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 should never have gotten as far as it did. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 should never have gotten so many people like rabidly defending it, and it should not have as many simps as it does right now. Okay, and that
I feel like you want to say grifter. Because Simps would be for Stellar Blade.
that's just one example. Baldur's Gate 3 is probably the defining example of this, of people bending over backwards, trying to deny that it's woke, when in reality, it's this incredibly pause thing.
He says incredibly pause because gay. Gay does not equal woke. Gay does not equal bad. And you can avoid it. I dip, dodge, and dub every time a motherfucker try to flirt with me. And it's just incredibly obvious too. I mean, Astarian is Astarian. That's just how he fucking talks. But Will's flirtation scene or opening romance scene is obvious. Gale's is obvious. Halcyon's been on your dick since you fucking met the guy. Like, it's. I see what you mean, but you're you're wrong. I sense no pandering in that game. There are plenty of women in that game. Plenty of very important women in that game. Plenty of badass women in that game. None of it felt forced. One of the most badass women in that game, the Night Song, is a lesbian. Doesn't matter to me, not in the slightest. Does it matter to some other people? I'm sure it does. And I'm gonna let them have that. I don't have to engage with that. I did because I like the characters and I want to see them be together. But do I care that they are gay? No.
That really showcases everything wrong with the Western development sphere. But we can't allow that to be discussed or talked about because that would make the PC gaming industry look bad. And considering the vast majority of the anti wokesters are all PC gamers, right? They have to push this narrative that PC
That's not
gaming
true.
is somehow completely free of woke culture, which is obviously retarded if you've been paying attention to what like Valve and these other companies
What's
have
that
been
game
doing at
called, Ty?
all.
I can't remember the name of it.
But they can't bring themselves to like hold their preferred platform accountable, right? They can't afford themselves to admit the fact that Valve is not infallible, right? They can't do it. They can't acknowledge.
I don't think anybody said Valve was infallible. Like, fucking Valve has had plenty of criticism over the years, especially since they just don't seem to care to release Half Life 3 or make Half Life 3. You're a weird guy.
Any mistakes the company makes, they can't
It's just
acknowledge like
lagging again.
the
God
people they
damn.
hire, their political leanings. They can't acknowledge the general trend. They always like try to blame something else. Like, oh no, it's only this one rogue moderator who's blocking anti woke games on Steam. Like, things like that, right? They're not willing to admit that that one person is a Valve employee.
Do moderators block anti woke games? Or is there even a category of anti woke games? Or are you just saying that?
Right? So these huge major things that would be considered huge woke controversies if they were on PlayStation and Xbox are conveniently ignored when they're on Steam. And this is a big thing when it comes to Stellar Blade right now.
That's not
Because a lot
true.
of people are coping saying that like, oh well, we'll be able to mod the sexy costumes back in when Stellar Blade releases on
Yeah,
PC. But like
that's not a cope.
they're going to they're going to make the IP worse in other ways, ways that aren't going to be modded out.
How?
It really does need to be talked about more about how
Where is your basis for that? Like, that's just throwing shit at the wall, bro. That shit ain't sticking. That's just fucking water, bro.
other ways, ways that aren't going to be modded out. It really does need to be talked about more about how much like the anti woke industry copes and seethes about these kind of woke products. Whenever like they inevitably get bait and switched, they always do damage control. They always bend over backwards. They always make excuses, defending people like Vavra, defending people like Shift Up, defending like Sony even. Like they cannot bring themselves to admit that the industry is completely 100% compromised, and there simply is no saving it. After the whole Kingdom
Well, that
Come
was
Deliverance 2
certainly a way to
debacle,
end
I
that shit.
suppose it
Oh
is
wait, oh
time to
wait, yo, oh wait, yo. Slow the fuck down, Harmon. You just spoke for like how long? All right. I don't even know how to fucking end with you, Harmon. We're just gonna move on to the game. Um, I want to come back to you, not tomorrow, but whenever you start talking about the handheld Xbox. Did you hear about that, Ty? The handheld Xbox thing that got leaked. The hell's that game called though? The one we're supposed to look up. It's not Split Fiction. What is it called? A little. Oh. Oh, yeah. I'm excited. I wanted that thing since the fucking PSP. I was hoping to praying as a kid. Like I hope to God, cause that's when I had an Xbox, but I still had a PSP at the same time. So like I was like, come on Xbox, come on. But now fucking what? 13 years later, probably more. Actually, closer to 20 years ago. Damn, I'm old. PSP was goaded. Uh, fuck. What's that game? I can't remember the name of the game. I can't put Apex as kid because no one's gonna know what the fuck I'm talking about. I want to say it starts with a D. Hero shooters. Oh, wait, is that the kind of game that can where you have to only have one of each? Did not even mean to put that Z there, bro. What the fuck? I just cannot remember the goddamn name of this fucking thing. Unlikable. Fuck game is that? Concord failed Overwatch clones. That was 10 months ago. Wait, hold on. Let's do new hero shooters. Deadlock, was that it? No, that wasn't it. The fuck is that game called? Try Concord. Yeah, I'm sure as fuck not trying Concord. God, this is gonna bug me. Is it? It's not split. What is it? Frag Punk. That's what it was. It was not a D. It was a fucking. Shit, it's fucking stupid. Why did I fucking capitalize that? Which one was on I watched? I can't remember which one I watched. Fragpoint major update. Launch showcase. How long is that? It's 3 minutes. Oh, here it is. All 13 Fragpoint characters.
I wanted to go through and showcase all 13 characters or lancers in Fragpunk, taking a look at their abilities, showcasing the new character like Chum, and also showcasing any changes and balances from previous beta tests. For example, I know Axon did receive a nerf and a bit of a facelift, I suppose, color change to his model. So yeah, we're going to go through all of these characters, showcase what their abilities are, and you can get an idea of what kind of playstyle you can expect from every single lancer in the game. I'm just going to go through one more time to showcase the models.
It's not, again, it's not quite the level Conqueror. It definitely feels more like Apex. That's what Apex
all the way
is
down to the end,
but
including Chum, the new character, and including
bit.
Changes such as Axon, who has had a couple of changes both visual and gameplay wise. So starting with Broker. His first skill is this rocket. Now, it's mainly for damage dealing. It doesn't have a zoom in, but you can kind of get an angle like around corners like this. Like you see there's a player there. I can aim it like here. It's going to damage them. It has a large blast radius, and it does quite a lot of damage. As you can see there, a direct hit is going to insta-kill.
150.
However, if you hit like here, it's going to do a little bit less damage. Hang on, let's wait for that bot to reset. So it's kind of got damage based on how close it is to the center of the blast. And yeah, it knocks people back as well as doing damage. And then we have like a smoke coin.
Work, yeah.
This is one of the throwable smokes in the game. And this one, it will create a smoke from where you're throwing it all the way to wherever it finally lands. And you can make quite an interesting smoke wall. And because of the way it bounces, we'll follow that path. So there's going to be a lot of creativity that comes into figuring out the best smoke paths on different maps. If you throw it like in a corner like that, it's going to create a smoke in a very small area. If you throw it long range, up like that, you're going to have a big smoke wall through the air. If you throw it whilst crouched on the ground,
there's a limit
you're going to have one
right?
that follows this path. So a lot of freedom of creativity when it comes to this particular smoke. And then you have cherry bombs. Now, this will throw a radius of bombs that will stay on the ground. Now, this is sort of like a trap ability. You want to kind of catch people out as they rotate, and they'll stay on the ground and basically deal damage as a player walks through them, as you can see here. It does quite a decent amount of damage. Let's do this on a fully healed up target. A few of them will activate here. This is a nice way to clip
Damn,
players that may
1236.
be rotating. Next we have Nitro. Nitro starts
That's
with
a combined damage,
skill
right?
1,
That's not a singular
which
thing.
is a remote-controlled sort of robot. This is a really good ability to scout sites and just see, you know, who's around. But it can fire. It doesn't do much damage. I think
It's
it
a
does
pretty
like
big fucking
20
robot.
damage. Fires very slowly. It's, you know, it
I don't know
can
how long it takes to
distract and
kill
deal
the
damage,
thing.
but mostly it's for scouting. What's quite nice is if you go like this, I can then go back into it later. So you can set that up. You can remotely view a site on defense, or you can scout it on attack. So quite useful in getting info for your team, right? And then we have this, which is a small cover. Now, this is great for, you know, peeking in and out. Although I will say that it's kind
You
of
see that?
like you can just about see someone's head.
I
peeking
don't like
over there,
that.
you know? So it's something to consider. You
Aesthetically
can stack
speaking,
them
I
up
should
as well.
say.
If you want to build like a wall like this, then you can do a double
That's pretty
stack,
neat.
or stack it on
That's pretty cool.
things that would otherwise be crouching height to create full cover as well. Of course, it can be broken, like most of these abilities. This one can be broken into like different sections like this. And then we have
If that
this,
pistol
which
shoot
is
like
a
that,
trap
listen, I might be
item
John Wick in this shit.
that will basically create a radius around it and auto-target anyone and deal damage over time to anyone that it tracks. It can obviously be destroyed well. Next we have Hollow Point, whose first attack is a sniper that charges up as you ADS, and it will one-shot body shot, which is really quite powerful. And then you have a smoke
If you
screen.
hit it, though.
It will block vision, and it will fire out basically until you stop it in whatever direction you've created, right? So it's a quite nice ability to sort of block vision.
I can't see that being used for anything outside of a distraction. I would never hide behind that thing. That's bananas. But then again, if you do pop it out, it's a flag. Like, oh, they were just here. They, like, logically speaking, like if you know the map well enough, depending on where you are, oh, they just went down the hall, or they probably went left here, or probably just went curved around the corner. Like, that's 100% distraction only.
As you can see here.
Yeah.
Then it can also
Big
kind of
numbers.
be combined with this trap, which is a vision trap. So you throw it down, and you'll see players in the area. And this will go through walls as well. So, for example, if we have a trap down
Can
here,
your allies see enemies too?
right, and we throw a smoke screen, we're gonna get that trap information. You can't throw it in the air though, right? It has to be on the ground. So you can't lob it around corners like a smoke grenade or something. You could go like that. If anyone's in that area, then you're gonna get a scan on them. You kind of have to expose yourself a little bit to get the most value out of it. But yeah, her main power comes definitely in this powerful sniper. Next we have Jaguar. Jaguar has a few sort of damage dealing and vision blocking abilities. This one here, the cage, will put them inside a big block. They can't see anything whilst they're in there. They've got to step out of it. And it combines well with his third ability, which basically will give him a movement speed boost and reveal
That's probably a
enemies
better
in the
version of the
area.
last one.
And it does include those in the cage. So you can go like this, throw someone in the cage, activate your ability like this, and you're going to get an angle on them. And when this is activated, you will move faster as well. Just kind
Just
of
can't
tells
see
you how
'em,
many enemies
right?
are in the area, although...
Did I hit the wrong button? What the fuck? Oh, I did hit the wrong button. I almost hit M.
As you can see, if someone walks into that, they're going to have a pretty hard time. Next we have Chomper, the new character. So Chomper has a little fish that you can throw out, and it will go and find players and bite them, basically. But it has two other functions. First, let me show you the main function. I throw it down here. You'll find someone and bite their ankles.
Did you play
It does a very small amount of damage. But, you know, good to throw
that was
into
a
like a
game called.
site. You can go like this and be like, right, I'm going to go and find somebody.
the fucking
Right.
Rick and Morty
But
game?
it has two other functions. The first being a smoke. you can give it a smoke bait, and then when you fire it
That's
out,
that's what that thing
you can
reminds me
actually
of.
like create a smoke wall. And if you hold it,
High on
kind of, like,
life.
go in the direction that you aim. So I could get a smoke wall going that
It was
way.
good. It's good, and it's also not too long. I mean, well, if you like Rick and Morty humor or Justin Roiland's voice, then you'll like the game. But if not, then I suggest you don't. You should. Highly recommended.
Right, and it will create this big smoke wall. It's quite interesting. Or you can feed it explosive bait, and then it's going to do more damage once it finds a target. If I'm walking along here, you can see
Can he
not
get
a
shot though?
massive amount of damage, but it's okay. And then on top of that, he has his explosive ability in a little trap, which basically does the same amount of damage as if you put it on Chomper. You can see here. But it has to basically create line of sight like that. And then you have the smoke one. Now this has two different ways of use. First, you can do explode on contact, so as soon as it touches anything, it'll create a smoke. Or you can do it explode on land, so you can bounce it, and as soon as it touches the floor, it'll create a smoke. And this is a big smoke, like, ball to block sight lines, and you really can't see anything in there. But not so much a smoke wall like other smoke abilities. Next we have Corona. This character has a few very interesting abilities. The first
I don't
of
think
which being
the other
dash.
smoke ability was probably better
Dashes
than
you
that one.
forward.
By virtue of the trail.
You can also dash
the
upwards,
trail
but you won't
button,
get as much distance when dashing vertically. And then you can throw this little war zone area. When you stand in this, you will move faster. Anyone in it will take damage over time. And I do believe he'll take less damage whilst inside this as well. So basically, this is like a really good defense ability. I mean, you throw it on point, and yeah, really, really good. In fact, even on attack, I feel like his kit has still been very strong for a long time. And then you have this third ability, which will charge up, and anyone in its line of sight will get blinded. Basically, once it's 100%, means they're blinded. You can combine that together with a dash. Like, let's say you know there's somebody over here. You could charge it and wait for it to go, and then dash towards them, and then stun them, or not stun them, blind them. It's quite interesting. Next we have Circuit.
I can see how that can be
character has
annoying
two
if hit on you, but I'm
interesting
not gonna
abilities.
try
The
to
first
make
of which
that
is
shit
kind of
happen.
like a repositioning ability. You can teleport.
I'd rather just shoot him in the back of the
and
fucking
what's
head.
nice is the sandstorms actually signify enemies, so you know where they are. There's another teleport ability that doesn't have that same function, which we'll talk about later on another character. Yeah, it's a nice repositioning tool where you can avoid sort of, teleporting and then taking damage.
I think that's fair.
And then we have this.
Being go invisible, but
So
also
it'll be a
you
big
can't see them
tornado.
either.
Anyone caught in it will
That's
be
pretty fair.
slowed down. And you can also stop it. And if you stop it, it will sort of grow in size a little bit. If you're in there, I mean, this is what you see. You're going to be in here. You're going to be blind to what's out inside of, behind, on the other side, and slowed. And then we have this sort of whirlpool effect that brings people into the center. And you can throw this fairly long distance. So let's say like there's a player over there, and we can throw it, and it will bring them towards it, right? Which is quite nice. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities to use that around corners. Next we have Pathogen. This character has a passive,
The
which
Wraith
is
daughter?
immune to poison damage. So basically, she can't take damage from other pathogen players.
Oh, see that profile
quite
picture though?
interesting.
The character
she's
picture?
got a healing from other.
Come on, girl.
Pathogen players, which is quite interesting. She's got a healing ability. Throw it on the ground, and anyone in this radius will be healed over time, including herself. And then we have a sort of deployable wall. Which again, this can be broken, but it's a singular deployable wall that is taller than the other one. And then there's a damage poison over time sort of radius grenade. That will
The other wall is better than
damage
that because it
over
can
time as
stack.
expected. You can throw
You can
it
do
on the
multiple
ground
of
and it
them.
will activate when anyone walks
Maybe you
into
didn't
the
show that,
area, or
but,
you
I
can
mean,
activate it
the other one's
remotely
better.
whenever you want to. Then we have
She
Zephyr,
that one's only
a
good for
character
poison.
with
I
a
won't
few
even. I
different
probably wouldn't even
repositioning
like
and
use that for the wall
invisibility
just for her poison.
abilities. The first of which being skill 1, which makes you cloaked, in cloak, you cannot use your primary or any normal firearm, but you can melee. So you
That's
can
definitely
actually
Ray's daughter. That's
kind of
that's
cloak
Ray's
behind
other
people.
daughter.
Potentially get melees off. And it combines really well with the rest of Zephyr's abilities. The second of which being a sort of area here. Once in this area, she's actually fully cloaked. So if she's in this radius, she's fully cloaked, cannot be seen. If she's out, she can actually be seen a little bit. And on top of that, when you're in this area, you actually have no time limit to how long you're invisible. So it's kind of like a way to boost her power with her invisibility. And then we have a teleport, which is really nice. If you put this down, basically you can move around, and whenever you activate it again, you'll teleport back to this position. You can put it down whilst visible, right? Then go invisible, and
Yeah, it's
if you go
definitely Ray's
back,
other daughter.
you'll still be.
But the wormhole
I
is a
should
bit
say
better.
Cloaked. I do believe it's not completely invisible unless you have.
Because with the wormhole, you can go through both ways, as well as your teammates can go through both ways.
Yourself in this radius with the
I don't know why
second
they just
skill.
keep that.
And then we have
If
Spider.
this
who
is the
has
same people who made
two,
Apex. If
a
not,
few
then
different
fuck it, I guess.
abilities for displacement and transport. So first being a teleport, you can put like 2 teleport abilities down. You got to manually do it, so you know it does require a bit of movement around the map first. Yeah, once you're doing that, you basically just walk into that and you'll teleport and be able to go back and forth between the two. Nice way to create transport between 2 sites. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of cool.
Is it just her,
potential
though?
ability.
Or him?
And then this ability actually teleports an enemy. So wherever you're standing is where the enemy will teleport it to. And you can get some pretty big range on it, honestly. Like, let's say I'm all the way down here. You can throw it over walls and stuff. Like, if you know a good lineup, you can potentially, like, teleport someone who maybe sit in a particular spot, you know? So if you go like that and it lands down, like, it's going to teleport the bed, which is crazy. Quite a cool, unique ability. Spider's third ability is a trap. It'll create a area of effect. If they're caught in the area, the player will be blinded and slowed. Next we have Kismet, a detection ability on
She's
skill
the only one I
1.
wanted to use.
Anyone caught in the radius will be seen also through walls. So for example, if you're like on a corner somewhere, you can pop this. There's someone standing on the other side, you're going to know about it. And then we have a small damage dealing nade that can be thrown in any way, basically. Like, it can be thrown over walls. Can't really be bounced too much. So that's one limit to it, but it does do, I think, about 100 damage.
Let's find out.
It's a bit of a skill shot to it. If you throw it too far,
That bounce is actually not a bad thing. That bounce can be incredibly useful. If you know the map well and you know these motherfuckers be hiding, you could really, and you know the timing of that grenade, you could really do some fucking damage with that. That's not a negative.
hard. So it's quite interesting. But let me just show you the extra damage. I think it does 100. Yeah, it does 100 damage. So that's like 2
that's solid damage too.
And then we have the teleport ability. Now
You could like tag what, like 2 or 3 shoulders, and then, or like you throw the grenade, tag like put some damage to that one, and then dip out and then have the thing explode. I mean, kind of clean it all up, you know.
Immune to damage, which is nice, but you cannot see players.
If I get some pretty sick multi
You gotta
kills
be
with that.
careful, right? You can't see where players are. You might accidentally teleport. Like,
That's much like the other one,
like
but
this.
is also fair.
Yeah, quite interesting.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Next we
That
have
drawback. for
Axon.
sure.
Now he's changed.
risk.
It's a bit of a nerf for Axon, unfortunately.
With me with grenades, yeah. If it was a sticky grenade, that'd be a whole different story. But I'm pretty okay with frags too sometimes.
It's kind of like his passive. He had really good movement. That is now, unfortunately, only when he has his guitar out. As part of his skill 1, he doesn't get sliding normally, unfortunately.
That motherfucker really took that shit from Death Stranding 2. Did you see that Death Stranding 2 trailer? Like they did the original one? Bro, if you didn't see that, we gotta watch that. That motherfucker stole that entire fucking... Oh, he stole that shit from fucking Death Stranding.
Probably well balanced, not gonna lie.
Probably not. They
But
probably
yeah,
never met at the same
that
time,
does
but still.
mean
it probably wouldn't take too
You could
long
only
to make a
slide
character
bossing
that
with
can
the
do
guitar.
this. If
Now,
they're
the
like,
guitar
oh,
is
that's a
like
great idea.
Shotgun. The 2-burst shotgun.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
mhm.
limited
That's
ammo.
a sick
but if you get
trailer
a kill
too.
with it, I do believe it gets
Fucking
extra
sick ass
ammo
trailer.
again. And it's a pretty powerful thing. If you 2-tap someone with this and hit both on target, it's gonna eliminate someone. And the more you use it, the more ammo you get to keep using it. Well, the more kills you get with it anyway. And you can also like basically press the aim button whilst using the guitar to throw your second skill, which is a sticky bomb. Will do damage as well. Now you can also use that on its own. You press the sticky bomb button itself, which is your skill 2, or throw it out. It will keep bouncing around until it hits a target, and then it will stick on them, or it reaches its maximum life. At that point, it will just explode. So it's quite good at throwing around corners, you know. And then we have the third skill.
I mean,
You put
there's a
mask,
sticky grenade,
and
but
during
I don't
this
like the
time limit of
character.
it being active, he is immune to all flashes, and it has a fairly decent length. So if you know the team is about to push a site, you can put this on, and you will be immune to all flashes. Next, we have Sonar, a character that's basically focused on information. If we get a moving character here, and we throw this echolocation down, and you can't really throw it, you got to place it like this. And anyone walking in the area will be revealed. As you see, like that. I think it's like
pretty wide
honestly,
area.
It's nice to put on a site. And then we have the secondary, which is called Sonic Surge, and this will send out like a laser beam, or I don't know, a tunnel, I suppose. Anyone's caught in that tunnel will be scanned. And there will also be like
That's
stunned
kind
and
of
knocked up,
dumb.
which is quite interesting. Kind of works like that, as you can see. Very funny ability. And then her third ability means your footsteps are not as loud, and you're also immune to other Sonar's primary ability. I don't know. It feels like it's a little bit underpowered in my opinion. Like, look how short this is. I don't know.
I think it's a little bit fucking useless.
That's all of the launches in Fragpunk. I don't know how well this game is.
So, how am I gonna articulate this? How many characters did Apex have when it first came out? Like 8, right? 8-ish, maybe 6. I understand the appeal of having a big roster from the jump, but I don't think that was the right idea. Because a lot of these characters feel kind of samey. You know, a lot of abilities feel quite samey with a few little alterations here and there. You could remove like a good 5 of these characters and you still have a pretty solid variety of abilities. But as it is, there's a lot of repetition. And that's actually a really good thing about having like a smaller roster from the get, because then you can see what people gravitate to and then see what people want to see, you know. I mean, I'm sure I'll do fine, but like there's definitely gonna be some characters that are just not used. I can easily see a good few of these just not ever being used like that. Definitely. Well, that's gonna do it for tonight. Oh, I probably took it like what 3 fucking almost 2. Oh, that was shorter than I thought it was. Well, no, that's good because I still gotta review this fucking video and probably get to bed like 2 o'clock. So thanks for hanging out, bro. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I don't know if I'm gonna stream tomorrow. I might take tomorrow off, or if I'm going to stream, it'll probably be a game. It probably won't be Harmon. But either way, you know what to do. Stay tuned. I don't think you're ever here when I did that. No one's ever here when I do that, like that ending tag thing. Alright, bro. I'll probably catch you in a little bit. My fucking damn stream controller.